And then the one I did land, the 19 and a half pounder that I got first, I got him right over there.
Hi, it's William, welcome to FlySpoke, and in my vise I have a fly called Green Pearl. And this is a fly created up on the Grand Cascapedia River in Quebec by a fellow named Reynold Sexton. And he owns Sexton & Sexton, the fly shop up there, as well as the manager for Middle Camp on the Grand Cascapedia River. And this particular fly, I usually have used it in larger sizes. And this particular one is a 1/0 single. And it's proven to take big fish and well worth your time to tie a few. So I've switched out the single, and I'm going to tie the fly on this low water double. Now this particular hook is distributed by W.W. Doak from Doketown, New Brunswick, and it happens to be a hook that's made in Redditch, England. It's a 2/0 low water double. It has a longer, the double being it has the longer shank. If it was a regular size, it would only be about as long as that to the back. I like the extra length into the back. And I'm just going to start off. I'm going to use some chartreuse thread on this fly for most of it till we get to the end of making the fly. And the reason is I don't want the underbody showing through with a black color, which is going to be the finale of the thread. And first thing goes in, go underneath to the bottom. Taking some silver fine silver tinsel oval. Get that to there. And then what I do is when I put on the oval on a double, I go towards the back. Come here, lift it up on your side, put your finger, go down in between the two hooks, then you can fix it to make sure that everything is tight. Go ahead and then just tie it off right there. Check it, make sure it's in there well, no slack, good looking. Okay. Now I'm going to advance forward and put down this base of the chartreuse thread. And even fill in the gaps, get rid of all the black color. Now I can do this if I want. I can take some holographic tinsel or something of that nature and put it down underneath as a base, and that would also make it so that the floss can't be seen through when it gets wet. I'm going to take some bright chartreuse green floss. I'm going to lay it on the top, and I'm going to leave a tail sticking back there. Guess we can get rid of that. Let's take this off of here right now. And just go in, lay it around, lay it on top, and leave that long tail there. And you notice I'm also leaving that silver tinsel here. So that's going to become a rib. Okay? Now, if I take my floss and I start working backwards, laying right over that tail I made, when I get to the last wrap, I give it a little spin. Just a little bit of a spin. That keeps it a little tighter for me. Okay. Now take that tail and pull it forward. And that locks in the floss strands from coming unraveled over the back of the fly. Okay. Let's trim that floss off here. And we'll trim the floss off here. Holding the tinsel, cleaning it up a little bit. And come right back to that spot. Okay. Golden pheasant crest. Now I want to pick an appropriately sized golden pheasant crest. Something that has a nice shape to it. Something that'll look about just like that. Make it come to the back of the hook there. And just put this on. You don't have to be severely tight. You want it to have a natural look, nice curve to it. Just a nice shape. Okay, and we can trim that out. And the next item is I'm just going to take a saddle hackle in red. And I'm going to use a tip. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a nice pointy tip in this saddle hackle. And that's going to go in right here like this, half the length. Half the length of the golden pheasant crest feather. And if I lay that in, and look at the curve on it, it has a curve. If I lay it in with the curve going up, I'm going to get a little bit better effect out of it. And again, not too tight, just tight enough to hold it there. Get it in place so it has a nice look for you. Now I'm putting a little bit tighter wraps on right there. All right. Okay. Okay, next item is going to be a black ostrich herl. Now there's all different grades of black ostrich herl, and really it's by how tight and short the barbucells are. And when you have one that has very, very short and tight barbucells, you've got a good one for salmon flies. If I was using it for saltwater wings, I like them larger. They're sturdier. Okay. I'm going to put this, I'm going to mask that spot and create a little Morse code with the green and the black. Everything is contrast. Okay. Take it and bend that back a little bit. Get a couple of wraps. And you're all set. Okay, hold the tinsel back. Let's clean up again a little bit. Okay. Next item. This is where the pearl thing comes in. We're going to take some pearl mylar. That pearl mylar is just going to go in right here. Grab it down. Let's move forward. So in the back I've left the pearl mylar and I've left the silver rib. And I go back to my green floss again. Bright, bright green, chartreusey green floss. And I'm going to get my body work finished here. Okay. Now with this floss, you got to be careful with these strand style floss. It's easier to do this sort of work with like uni stretch and things of that nature, but they don't have the sheen that your flosses have. So I'm running turn next to turn to the back. The first coat here is a base for the second, and not letting anything show through and keeping the fly looking nice and green. So turn next to turn again. Notice the space that I've left in front here. I've left myself enough space to work on my wing. Alright. Now the pearl. This just gives a pretty cool sheen. The green shows through. This would work a little better if this pearl that I had for this big fly was the next size thicker, a little bit wider. I believe it might work out a little bit better. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to counter the rib the opposite way of the mylar. Secures it a little bit better. And I'm going to do my best to make the spacing and the angle to the rib be as consistent as possible as I move forward. Not always the easiest thing to do. You got layers fighting each other. Okay. There's your body. And I tie this off. Switch to black. Put some black thread on. Next item is we're going to put a throat on. Natural guinea feathers, and if you notice them, they have all different sizes to the spotting to them. Some are real fine, some have different lengths to the hair, to the barbules rather. Big fly, I'm going to take a big feather, big spots, and now I prepare the feather. So I take all the down off. Right? I separate. I'm going to use about that much of the feather. Then I'm going to clip off so that I leave just a little bit. Right? See that little bit of the pieces, and that's what I'm going to tie in. Gives me a more secure tie-in to do that than it would if I was to just have stem there. Okay, I'm going to attach on my hackle pliers, hold straight up in the air. Okay, now this side of the feather on me is going to bend back just fine because I'm going to be able to make it happen. So I take this front side and I just run my scissor down it, and you'll feel it bending a little bit. You'll hear it almost. It goes tsk, and it bends the feather back away from the stem. And that way I can take my fingers, be able to pull back, make a wrap. Pull back again, make another wrap right in front of the first one. Pull back, right in front. Okay. All right. You don't want to hold too tight, but you got to hold just tight enough. Okay. Take your stem, bend it back, and go back over it slightly. And then trim it. Don't have it facing forward. It'll be a problem for you later. Okay. So now I have collar wrapped around. So I'm going to separate my collar right down the center. Pull it down. Now, there's going to be a few that could be a problem. Just take them off. They're the ones on the top. It's okay. You just take them, and anything that seems like it's going to be an issue, just go ahead and take it off. And we're bending down, making our throat. Just come over the very front of it, not too deep in. You don't have to. I have my throat down. And again, if you see anything that's giving you an issue, you just remove it. Okay, there's my throat. And the next item. Now, the pattern calls for a chartreuse bucktail. Okay, but I'm going to choose a little greener, but still fluorescent chartreuse. This is a fin raccoon. This one has really nice long hair. And I'm going to be able to clip out. This happens to come on a zonker. And then I always take my brush and I always brush out and brush out the tips. Then take the guard hairs, pull them out, reposition them, make the wing, make it have a good look to it. And I take my fingers and I press forward and back, make the bottom a little shorter than the top, press forward and back. See what it looks like. Get out the unruly. And our wing is going to go just behind the hooks, the bend in the hooks. Say about that long is going to be great. And you notice I don't have a whole lot of hair here. It's just not necessary. We tie other flies with big, bushy, bulbous fronts, tube flies and things of that nature. This particular fly doesn't call for that. Okay. There's my green wing. Now the next item that the fly calls for is to take some crystal flash, this greenish tinted crystal flash, and I am going to use a little bit of it. I take it, I'm going to tie it right on the top, half and half, cinch it down, bend it over, grab it again. Now when I cut this, when I trim this out to size, no blunt cuts. I take my scissor, starting right at the end where the fin raccoon is, and I move my scissor back and forth and I let it cut it so that none of the cuts are in the same place. Okay, secure that down. Alright, next item. I'm going to put in I'm going to take some Peacock Black. It's called Crinkle Mirror Flash. Peacock Black. Great look to it. And I'm only going to tie one strand on this side. Let's make sure it's a straight, nice straight strand. One strand on this side. Bring it over. There we go. One strand on the opposite side. You got to get this to flow back. Then I'm going to trim that right behind the crystal flash. So that's just the same length or slightly longer. That stuff has incredible reflective properties. Okay. Just clean up my head now a little bit. Start to form the head. Okay. Next item is to take I like to take the eye, peacock eye, for these toppings because the thickness is so much thinner than taking the herl from the sides. And I'm still going to use the top portion of it for the most part. A little bit into the eye is okay. And on this, I judge the length, make my trim. I put this right on the top. Cinch it down. Just like that. Alright, clean that up. Okay. Jungle cock for the eyes. Jungle cock nails for the eyes. This fly, I make them a little bit larger. Not much. Generally don't like real big eyes on salmon flies. But after all, this is a pretty big fly. And I like them to be back a little bit further. So I'll prepare these nails together so that I can make them exactly the same length from where I've removed the barbules, so that when I tie them in, if I tie them in exactly in the same place where the barbules end, they're going to be equidistant on both sides of the fly. There we go. Okay, I'm going to tie one in on this side. bend it back and trim. And I'll tie the other one in on this side. Bend it back and trim. And just work on the head now to get a decent look to the head. Okay. Little bit of head cement. This fly I'd put at least 3 coats. Basically, the green pearl. There it is.